Lethwei is like Muay Thai, except there are no gloves and there are headbutts allowed. And in addition to that, at the end of the fight, there's no scoring. There are no judges. If both of them are standing at the end of the fight, it's declared a draw. And in addition to that, this is probably the one of the worst aspects of it, right? I wish they would do away with this. If you get knocked down and it's clear you're not going to be able to get back up, your corner is allowed to call a timeout, drag you back to the corner, and start throwing water and, on your face, using smelling salts to try and basically revive you. They are allowed to do that at least once. I'm pretty sure it's just once, but at least once. And that is fucking bonkers. I don't like that part, but I do like everything else. I don't mind that it's sort of bare knuckle, and I don't mind that there's headbutts. I think headbutts are cool, right? It would be nice if there was some kind of scoring, I guess, but also I can understand why they wouldn't want it necessarily, because it disincentivizes boring point fights, right? If you don't have scoring. It just sucks because, it would be nice to declare a winner, Somebody could get their shit pushed in for 5 rounds, and it's declared a draw just cuz. But with that said, we have Tun Tun Min. This is somebody I used to watch years ago, and a dude named Nicholas Carter. They are both 25 years old. All right, round 1. Couple of pretty ladies right here. Damn, they really they upped the ante on the production value. Some of the other fights I've seen are they're not in places as nice as this. Oy. Couple of kicks exchanged. I don't think either of them really landed like that. Oh. So he ended up going lead hook and then an overhand, and it dropped him. Oh, there's the headbutts right there. There's the headbutts right there. Somebody asked me earlier how headbutts could be used, and I showed you a couple different ways, and that's one of the ways. They won't just headbutt with the crown. They'll headbutt here as well, right? And that was enough for the knockdown. Let's go ahead and we'll take another quick look at that, right? This kid's probably not used to this. Bang, bang. There you go. That was... So he headbutted him, he got him sort of on the jawline, and then he used that movement to headbutt him right here. That'll shut you off. Getting hit here right behind the ear, it's not good. It's not good. You don't want to get hit there. You see, Lethwei becomes a lot more of a slugfest because of the nature of it. Oh. Muay Thai, don't get me wrong, you have slugfests, but it's a little bit more technical. And these guys do have technique, but their technique is very much brawling based, They're not typically throwing jab cross like you would see in boxing, because if you throw a jab or a cross, someone's just going to lower their head, and you're going to end up punching the crown of their head, which is going to hurt you. Oh, hey. That was beautiful. Catches the kick, goes body, and then up to the head. Knocks him on his ass. See, it's a much faster pace than what you'd be used to in Muay Thai in Thailand. Of course, this kid isn't from Thailand, but he's probably not used to this pace, even in England. See, Tun Tun Min is just on top of him. You can tell he kind of wants to, keep him away with jabs, stuff like that. He seems kind of confounded. Well, see, I don't think I've seen a single straight punch from specifically Tun Tun Min, right? He's throwing, even the straighter punches still have that kind of, he's kind of coming around. It's not like a straight up hook or an overhand, but he's not coming up the middle. He's throwing to try and, just like that. He's trying to bypass the possibility of this dude lowering his head into the punch. Oh, there's another knockdown with a headbutt. There's another headbutt knockdown. Again, I think this dude's just not used to how unorthodox the situation is. Fights tend to have a certain ebb and a flow, and you can kind of get used to it. But this is a brawl. This is a street fight. Yeah, I do think I do think that was a little interesting how he called it, even though the dude was ready. You could tell he was a little apprehensive, but I think he would have gotten back in there. Maybe the ref was like, "Nah, I can tell you're done, dude. I can tell you're done." You know, you never know. It creates a different dynamic. A martial art is heavily influenced by its rule set. In fact, you could even go as far to say a martial art is a rule set. What's the difference between wrestling and jiu-jitsu? Well, really the main difference between wrestling and jiu-jitsu is what the rules state is the goal and what the rules state is allowed and not allowed. And the game of jiu-jitsu and wrestling form around those rules. Like, for instance, in folk style wrestling, which is the high school wrestling and the collegiate wrestling that you tend to see, you're not allowed to lock hands on top, excuse me. If I take somebody down and they are on bottom and I'm on top, I'm not allowed to wrap my arms around them and grab my own hands. Because of that, a game developed based around not being allowed to lock your hands on bottom. And then the same thing goes for submissions, right? You're not allowed to do submissions in wrestling. So all of the moves are going to revolve around the fact that it can't be something that is considered to be a submission or dangerous in that way. Now, jiu-jitsu, on the other hand, it developed based around the idea of, one, being able to lock your hands in literally any position, but two, also submissions. And because of that, you don't want to be on your hands and knees in, say, the referee's position, right? I'll show you the referee's position. This is the referee's position in wrestling, right? You would never be like this in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you ended up in this position in Jiu-Jitsu, you wouldn't be here. You'd be down here. You'd be in what's called turtle position, because you're trying to make sure you don't get submitted. You're trying to make sure he doesn't take your back and then choke your ass out or apply some kind of arm lock or something like that. And really, the only difference is the rule set that dictates that this is a legitimate position in wrestling, and you're not allowed to try and submit from here. That's the main difference. And when it comes to something like Lethwei, it's the rule set and the equipment that dictate the pace and dictate the style. That's why Toon Toon Min came out and he was just throwing and throwing and throwing from the get-go. Is because he wasn't sitting there. For one thing, like I said, Muay Thai in Thailand, they fight a certain way for certain cultural reasons, right? But in addition to that, he's not going out there thinking, okay, I have gloves and wraps on, I can throw jab cross, I can throw these things, or I can't throw these things in certain scenarios, and I have to work within that framework. No, he's thinking, okay, this is what I have at my disposal, and this is the best way to use it, right? So really, that's just what a martial art is. It's a rule set with techniques that are refined to fit that rule set. And that's why Lethwei, even though it's very, very similar to Muay Thai, save for a couple of differences in the techniques and the equipment, it's so much different when you look at it, right? I think it's very interesting, and it would have been nice to see Lethwei sort of spread a little bit. It would have been good for the development of the sport, and it would have been good for the development of martial arts overall, combat sports overall. It would have been really good, but it seems like Burma, seems like Myanmar is not interested in opening their borders to import or export fighters. It is what it is. Dave LeDuc was probably the most popular Lethwei guy, and he retired when Myanmar closed its borders, and he did it specifically for that. So, it is what it is. But that's Lethwei.